So we were in that change as in exercise and hunger, the change of high exercise and portion controlled.
Yep.
And I know you were starting to say something.
I was, and now I'm trying to remember it.
Okay. So the higher activity you have, the more activity you have, the more in line your hunger hormones are with your actual needs. As activity level goes down, hunger actually goes up.
That's what it was. Psychological. Yeah, how it was. That's what I was trying to say. Is it goes right in line with the psychological, where it becomes a want, not a need, and you're replacing something with something. So less exercise, you're replacing it with the desire to eat more, which is the exact opposite of what you'd expect.
Which it could actually be in line with the serotonin, right? Because exercise increases your serotonin. It helps kind of keep you
happy,
content, content with your food. No need to use food to replace other things. Yeah, and I'm not real sure what the research is on the reasoning behind that, as much as it is the muscle as well. But we definitely know
something more to look into then.
Yeah.
And once we find things, we'll have to post some stuff up on under the videos. And
but the main take home is the more that you exercise, you can control that hunger a little bit.
The more in line you get. Well, does that pertain with your hunger? Pertain with like the circadian rhythm?
So there's a lot of research that does show that we are best with our circadian rhythm, and we can do an entire episode on sleep and hunger.
We'll have to do that then.
But one thing, when you're with your question, you think about shift work. A lot of my nurses had a real hard time being able to lose weight, and it had to do with the circadian rhythm and working at night. So, but we should. There's plenty of information there that is very beneficial. That we'll have an entire episode on sleep.
We were just talking about how the different things affect it, and it just made me think of it. Circadian rhythm is one of the interesting things to me. So.
Well, and then going back to once you're deployed and this shift and this change, there's so many layers that are being changed at once. It has to be shocking.
Oh, 100%. It's interesting to get used to coming back and traffic. That was the best part about living in California, going from being on the ship, walking everywhere. Every time you stopped in a port, it was the heel to toe express. You walked everywhere, and you come back and you get your car back, and there's traffic, and it's not fun. I understand road rage a lot better after coming back from deployment.
And now you're sitting and frustrated in a car versus getting that exercise and fresh air and sunshine.
No, that's exactly how it is. But I mean, it's a shock, but it can also, change your perspectives on things, as change does. Change always changes your perspective.
Right. So what I'm curious about is there this idea, or in your experience, was there this idea of, I want to be able to get back to normal, back to the way that it was?
With health-wise? Or weight-wise?
Just in general, right? General? Like you're coming 100%. Back and you're expecting to go back to normal, and there's no new normal to go back to.
No, 100%. Yeah, the normal is not normal. It's all changed. The biggest example I can tell you, I left for deployment and I came back and there was this thing called dubstep music.
Oh.
It was complete culture shock. I mean, I had been gone for 9 months at that point. Come back, it's complete culture shock. You try to go back to, as you said, a normal, and normal's completely shifted from what you thought it was, because everything kept moving on when you were gone. And so when you come back, it's all different. You didn't move with it because you had no idea that it existed. And on the ships, we had snail mail, is what we called it, because our email and our internet was so bad. So you're not watching YouTube videos or keeping up with the trends, or what little news you read are all off military web pages and publishing sites. So they're very specific on what they're talking about. And
So do you think that's more on the ship because you were out to sea?
Probably more on the ship for us. I had obviously never deployed on land, so how it works with them, I know on some of the bases they have better internet than we do. So
they may have been a little bit more connected.
It might be a little more connected. You're still going to have the culture shock coming back, because you're never going to keep up with everything. But yeah, it was definitely a huge culture shock for us.
No, you only keep up with what you actually experience. I mean, experience has a big part of that.
Yep. And sometimes you find things like there were some songs on deployment when we would stop in different countries that I would hear and like, oh, when the heck did that come out? I didn't know they were still doing music or something like that.
Right.
So there's always those, but yeah, things like dubstep hadn't gotten over there, and I just use that one because it cracks me up every time I think about it, because you went from, I guess, normal music, what I would normally listen to that was everywhere, and Skrillex was this big thing, and it was trying to figure out how the heck people called that music at the time.
That's funny.
It became better. It grew on me.
So for the people who don't know who that is.
Yeah, it just the electronic music.
Yeah.
So okay. Yeah, electronic music, and
I was gonna say more of the techno.
Yeah. It got really popular mid 2000s.
Yep.
So yeah, it's just not something I expected when I came home.
That can be that was a major shift.
Oh yeah.
Time.
Well, that's how it is. It's just, you think about it with, I mean, I'm using that as an example, but it's everything. You're trying to get back to normal. I mean, the way I am now, it's not what my normal should be, but that's what it has been. And trying to get back to my old normal, you think about it, but it's never going to be the exact same. So it's a challenge.
So what is something that has helped with that for you?
Biggest thing that's helped is goals. Just having goals for each little thing, and not these giant extravagant goals of, in 2 years I'm going to have this exact thing, XYZ. It's okay, this month I'm going to have lost this much weight, or done these certain things, or I set up a daily program, all the small term goals that eventually go into the big ones. Because I mean, like they say, you shoot big, you miss big. If you only make the big goal, you're never, at least personally, I can never get it done. I always have to do the smaller goals.
I think we're all like that. We're talking about those small steps, those little bites, and there's these little rewards because you feel the sense of accomplishment. I'm a D directive personality, and we like check. So the more check marks you have, I mean, we will add things to the list just for the sake of checking it off.
You're the one who wanted all the stars and glass, aren't you?
So knowing this, that's my personality, those little goals are going to be much easier, and they have much more rewarding and satisfaction that comes along with it than that big goal that takes forever to get there.
No,
and I think that we really don't, a lot of us give up when we set too big of goals.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Like the aim big, miss big. I think that's the big problem. And everybody, they have that lofty goal. I want to lose 100 pounds, 50 pounds, 200 pounds, whatever it is.
200 is overwhelming. I've seen it happen, and I can tell you the people that have done it, they don't focus on the 200.
No, and that's the thing. We get our heads wrapped around the whole goal, the overarching thing, not these little steps that it takes, and it becomes, like you said, overwhelming. That's the way I looked at it originally, and it took me a little bit to kind of shift my perspective and realize that that's not going to help me. It kept setting me back more than it helped me.
And I think one of the reasons that it sets back is that you focus on what you didn't do, and you get very negative and into your feelings about it and lack that self-efficacy. But when we set up these small goals and we get those little wins, it builds your confidence that I can do this. I can really make this happen. And you focus more on that routine and the rhythm of it. I love one thing that I've heard one time, and this was related to business, but it applies so much to behavior change, was showing up. Today was not about the quality of the workout. It was about showing up. So if I could just show up at the gym or show up and do 2 exercises, I still maintained the rhythm. I maintained the consistency. Because let's face it, when we fall off, the hardest thing is getting back on. I used to say it's like a boulder. Like we have this big boulder. We look at it, it's this huge change, and we can't figure out, and we're pushing and pushing. It takes us forever to get it rolling. But once it's rolling, it's easy to maintain. But then as soon as that thing stops, we can't get it. It's starting all over again. And it doesn't matter how much momentum you've already made. once that boulder stops, you're starting out from ground one again.
Yep.
And mentally, like, getting yourself wrapped around that change and getting that rhythm back and going. So I always think about like the risk times, like when do we fall off?
Mm-hmm.
We fall off over holidays.
Oh yeah.
We fall off over vacations, and when we're sick. Those are the three big ones that we fall off. And the interesting part is that if we're doing behavior change and we go on a vacation, for some reason we think we're taking a vacation from our journey too.
those calories don't count.
Right. And I'll get back on when I get home. It doesn't work that way. I've seen it endless times. Maybe somebody, but very, very rarely. And the whole key is to integrate in vacations and those times into this lifestyle change.
We're just changing what you're doing for a workout, and instead of lifting weights, for this vacation, I'm walking.
Maintain the consistency.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Some way, maintain the consistency. You may be able to have a little bit more. It may be more liberalized, right? You may give yourself a little bit more flexibility in what you eat, or because of course you're not in a controlled position.
Yep.
You're not at home where you can cook. But you can't go all or none, right?
Yeah.
That we were talking about. It's all thrown away, and it's so hard. It's that boulder again.
If the calories do actually count, contrary to popular statements,
they do.
It's Thanksgiving. Everybody says those calories don't count.
Oh, well, I always think what's interesting about the holidays is what is it? The average person gains about 10 pounds over the holidays.
No kidding.
And 3,500 calories in a pound of fat. 3,500 calories, 1 pound of fat. If you gain 10 pounds of fat, because most likely it's not muscle, could be some water.
Most likely
It's not muscle. It could be water that you're retaining from the high salt, but let's just say it's fat. How many calories did you need to eat above your needs, above your balance point in order to gain that 10 pounds over a month time?
That's a lot.
35,000 calories, right? It's a lot of it's a lot of extra. Yeah. So, is it Thanksgiving? Is it what I eat one night that made that happen?
Absolutely not.
Not at all. It is making an event of the holidays.
Well, you get the breaks from school. For a lot of college students, military gets breaks. We get to go home sometimes, depending on holidays. Some people take off work and go visit family. So, of course, you turn it into a whole event.
Yes.
You can't stuff it all into one day.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you have different family members. So, Monday I'm going to this family group. Tuesday I'm going to this family group. It's all consistently doing the same things. That makes sense.
Well, then on top of it, we end up with food pushers. You haven't had this for a while. Eat this. And they guilt you into eating it.
Or you used to love this, so we made it. And now you're not eating it because of how unhealthy it is, but you feel bad, like you said, guilting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that really messes with us with that, especially if it's somebody that you don't want to disappoint.
Yep.
And they had great intentions. It is part of the journey, and it is part of learning how to be able to draw those boundaries nicely. And say, I really love that food and I appreciate it. I'm going to take a bite, but that's it.
Yep.
Because I have goals that I'm trying to hit.
No, that makes sense.
Sometimes people will even ask their family to say, hey, I have this goal that I'm working on and I want to change my lifestyle. I ask you to help support me in that? And this is how it'd be very helpful for you to support me. And sometimes that works.
Yep.
Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes family, unfortunately, will sabotage us.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it's important to really dive in and commit to them and be able to draw boundaries and say, no, thank you.
Yeah. Well, change is hard. So, and it's like you said, sometimes people sabotage you, even though, you would think they would have your best interest. And a lot of times they do. It's not
they don't
always
realize
intentional.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So change is hard, whether it's you doing the change or, someone else watching you change. It's not necessarily easy for people. But the thing is, things change over time, and you got to get your head wrapped around it, because everything, even talking about health and stuff like that, and our ideas, our concepts that we've had, over the last 5 years or the last 5 years.
Oh, our science.
They've changed. Our science has changed.
Our knowledge on health and weight and what calories are good. And we went from calorie counting to no, we're not going to, calories matter, but it's our body is seeking a set point. It is much more complex and does adjustments beyond that calorie counting. One example of that is, so I mentioned 3,500 calories in a pound of fat. So the concept, calories in, calories out concept used to be that if you take your balance point, most men, let's say the average male balance point is 2,000 calories a day. If you eat 2,000 calories a day, now this is average, this isn't necessarily you, that you won't gain or lose weight eating 2,000 calories a day. If you drop it by 500 calories per day, you should be able to lose 1 pound in 7 days or in a week. Now, if you think about this, if you maintained that over 200 weeks, could you expect to lose 200 pounds?
No, absolutely not. You'll plateau.
Yes. Your body makes adjustments to be in line with your new dieting environment. This is survival. This is our body's survival mechanism. And those adjustments happen really fast.
So we can't go off of how it was originally, that it was evil spirits that make you big. Dang it. And here I thought that's all it was. No wonder I'm not doing so well.
So what are you talking about, those evil spirits?
I mean, just talking about the change and like you're saying, the change in the way we look at things and calories, like you said, calorie versus not.
Yep.
I mean, over years when we started out, everything, when you get sick or you gain weight or everything, it was evil spirits. Then it was changed into, God or gods, blessed you or cursed you. And so all this stuff has changed.
Are hundreds of years
these are
ago.
Hundreds, back with the Sumerians and the Greeks and Romans and all that, all the stuff has changed and the science has changed and we've added so much more. And I mean, understanding the way our different foods and everything are now compared to what
evolving,
it was.
Though.
Yep, and we're still every day. It's something new. You could say something. It's just like technology. You say something. You buy the brand new phone. 20 minutes later, it's not the brand new phone anymore. No. Something already came out that's better. You just didn't know it yet.
Yes.
And that's the problem. It's always changing.
Yep, definitely. And especially in the nutrition world, that's why a lot of people will, I want to pay any attention to that because it's never right.
Yep.
No, just our knowledge on it has grown.
Yep.
So we understand a little bit better. And I think there is newer research coming out with fat. Fat used to be bad. And because it is higher calories, there's 9 calories per gram of fat when carbohydrates and protein have 4. So that is over double per gram the amount of calories that fat contains.
Yep.
So that thinking right there was that it's really high in calories. If we want to lose weight, we need low fat. But once we realize that actually it takes calories, your body burns calories being able to digest fat. It's very complex. On top of it, fat slows digestion, so it makes you stay fuller longer. And you don't necessarily always digest. Our bodies are water loving, not fat loving.
Yep.
So fat is harder to be able to digest, right? It's not a direct value like what we thought it was. And fat shuts off, I shouldn't say shuts off. Fat turns on CCK, which is a satiety hormone in our gut that carbohydrates don't.
Right.
So you are satisfied. Plus, fat is a flavor. Think of those low-fat foods. I mean, come on.
You mean cardboard?
They were terrible in flavor, and they had to add all this salt or sugar. One of the other trifectas.
I was just going to say, back to your trifecta. Back to the trifecta. I'm seeing it more and more since you said
seeing this pattern. Hey, who said you couldn't recognize patterns?
Yeah, no kidding.
So fat is flavor. Now, do we want to watch how much? Yes.
Of course.
Now, the trifecta is interesting because it is high fat. You're like, okay, hey, wait a minute, Dana. If fat slows digestion and it helps me feel satisfied and stop, why do I overeat those trifecta foods? So there is some research that shows that in this perfect combination, what we would know, the typical benefit that we would get is thrown out. Because if you think about it, I know my son could sit down and eat an entire box of donuts. And if you calculate the amount of calories.
No, it's insane.
Yeah. Now, if you ate the same amount of calories in a steak, you would be so full. There's no way, you would be choking it down, right? It doesn't have the same effect. So something happens, we don't know what, that kind of turns off that benefit of that fat with that perfect combination.